the situation is everywhere in the world, in Africa and even in Nigeria. And so, but today we're bringing you a story of this place. Here in the school, Morris International, where school fees are being paid with PET bottles, such as the ones I have in my hand.
We don't want any excuses for not paying your child's school fees. Your child must come to school. So we came up with this initiative. And these are plastic bottles that we've collected, and more will still come to the school. These are the plastic bottles. We collect cartons too, paper, cans, aluminium cans, carton, even pure water sachet. That's a bag of pure water sachet over there. So we exchange this for school fees because I want to see, I have the passion to see that these children learn well. We use British curriculum in the school. That is why it is called an international school. So we want these children in the slum that are less privileged, sort of, from low-income families, to enjoy education that the elites enjoy in the society too.
We are here today because we have a project we're running in partnership with the Morris International School, and that is the Recycle Space educational project. It's a project because it's something we want to do for the community, it's something we want to do for human lives. And the beauty about the Recycle Space project is the parents are involved, the environment is involved, the school is involved, the recycling firm is involved, and everyone has a way of trying to connect with the whole idea. And so for us, we kickstarted this project sometime last year because we came about a report that was, I think, released by the World Economic Forum that said in a few years time to come, in the ocean, you're going to find more plastics than fishes. And that means that we need to start thinking of what we can do with the plastics, something productive, so that we don't end up having more plastics in the ocean than the fishes. And also, we also came about a report that was conducted by UNICEF that said that Nigeria is currently #1 when it comes to the numbers of children that are out of school in the world. That figure is alarming.
Our school fees from playgroup to nursery 2 is 4,000 naira. Then our basic 1 to basic 6 is 5,000 naira. Family.
So what are your thoughts on what you people are doing? The fact that you're collecting plastic bottles and sachets for school fees?
Looking at our streets today, it's very dirty and you see plastic waste everywhere. Then we think of, okay, why not we ask the parents to be part of it? Picking plastic, we call the ACI to pick it up and wait, and talk about the kilo to pay their school fees.
Sometimes I go pick them, I will go sell, I will bring and come here and my mom will use and manage because things was hard. Things they very, very critical. Nobody, no helper, my myself, now only me and my mom. So they knock hand to hand to take. Even the children, papa self has since come like say they bother them say una picking una this thing. I say okay, at least they say single mother they take care of him picking. Anyhow, even anything I fit do, I take care of my picking at least before Uncle come bring the pay. And true, when he bring the pay bottle, it was okay. I was very, very happy because he relieved me for some kind of things, many things. Thinking of my picking school fees, I wonder, my picking books, I wonder. He relieved me many, many things because Uncle self through the pay bottle self, himself assist me picking the pay bottles. I will advise a lot of people. I will tell them say he pay because if he no pay me, I no go do am, which I still dey do until now.
Children of Morris International School knows about recycling well. Imagine if everybody is picking these things around them. We'll have less waste around, and this program is a sustainable program. So you imagine this in the drainage to cause flooding. We've helped the earth, we've helped their environment. In fact, Mother Earth is happy with the school and what we are doing.
hear the stories making the headlines.
The Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria.
I'm here at Yunus Bashorin Street where
The fire destroyed our transformer completely.
The lowest level you can.
This is Plus TV Africa. The big stories live here.
Big stories live here.
Big stories live here.
This Medan has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
We now start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
First point of accountability is asking questions.
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Hi everyone, welcome to Plus Training.
You cannot continue to recycle poverty while you're spending a lot of money on unproductive ventures.
The government has to feel the impact.
Honorable Commissioner, sir, welcome to the show.
a lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
I actually moved back to Nigeria to open a bakery. This was my goal. And everything I did up till this point was in preparation for this. First of all, life was great because I moved in 2015 right before the recession, right? It was awesome. I was like, wow, there's so much money out here, man. The cost of overheads, power generation, water, you have to be your own local government. And there are no tax breaks. Many places where, where they realize the small business environment is difficult would offer some kind of tax breaks and incentives. We don't do that out here. We want you to come back. We want you to, to start businesses here, but we're not going to do anything to help you. All my experiences in the past have led me ultimately to where I am now.
Hello and thank you for staying with us on Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we discuss the biggest entertainment stories. My name is Elsie Godwin, and I've got my amazing co-anchors with me, Ife Omai and Ife Oluwashinke.
It's good, people. What's good, people?
How you doing?
Doing great.
Happy Friday.
Same to you. Are you doing good?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
So
Don't you want to share how
Guys,
you feel? Just share it.
I'm traumatized by the news.
Yeah.
Very traumatized. I have to confess, I don't believe in my country, and I don't believe we have the measures to, really control this thing. So I'm just really freaking out. People are not even aware that there's coronavirus, and I mean like the grassroots people. Most of them are not even aware. They're going to squash themselves in the bus. We're going to spread it really fast and bring it to the office and everywhere. Hey,
paranoid.
Now that the keke and peps and Okada have been banned, there's no way you can avoid not being with a lot of people. So.
Yeah. It's very sad, very, very sad news.
So
She's been freaking out all morning. But anyway, I want to believe that we'll be fine. At least it is one case of an Italian, right? He works in Nigeria. It's just sad. I don't know how they weren't checking these people from the airports from the onset. But let's just move on to the entertainment story so we won't get sad. There's an update on the ongoing car theft court case between Temple Management Company and Nigerian singer Iyanya. Iyanya was granted bail on the sum of 20 million naira on Thursday by an Igboshire High Court in Lagos. Justice Mobolanle Okikiolu Ihile, while granting Iyanya bail, said, I have looked through the affidavits and the counter affidavits of the parties. There's a, this is a legal term, but there is prima facie case of criminal conversion against him. However, there is nothing to show that the defendant will interfere with the proceedings of this case and nothing to show that he will drop bail if granted. Bail is therefore granted to the defendant in the sum of 20 million naira with one surety in like sum. She ordered that the surety should have a landed property in Lagos and possess its certificate of occupancy. She also ordered that the bail should be perfected within the next 7 days. Otherwise, the bail shall be revoked. So the whole case was adjourned to May 27 for trial.
20 million naira. That's a lot.
Oh, wow. Iyanya.
That's Tolika.
No, you guys shouldn't make it sound like that. But I called this camp this morning, and they said it's been a free man because I know the people that are granted bail are those that have been in custody. If you've been in custody, that's the only reason why they will grant.
Yeah, that was confusing as well. But we've always known that he's been a free man because from the last time, which was in February,
he left with his lawyer
or something. Yeah, he left. So
they said this is fake news and that
fake news.
Yes, that they were in court, but there was no bail condition and all that according to his camp. Because I spoke to them this morning and they said there was nothing like a bail condition because it was never in custody. So why would they be granting him bail? Do you understand?
So were they ordered to pay 20 million for any reason?
That's what he's saying is the fake bit.
It's
so
a fake
this
news.
In general is fake.
It's fake.
Okay, I don't know how true or fake this is right now, but I'll just rest my case.
Unless his camp is trying to hide something, but we all know that Iyanya has been free. Like, he left with his lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, while I was reading the story, of course, it crossed my mind. I was wondering why
would you be granting
but
somebody
then
bail
when
that?
you read through, you realize that the prosecutor, the people, the lawyers from the Temple Management Company
wanted remanded.
Yeah, that was. So I was thinking the judge.
But you need to do a trial first before then you can grant bail. Like, it would be weird for them to go back into court and say they want to analyze the case and then you grant bail in regards to that, because there first has to be a verdict and then saying that, okay, he's been put away and then he needs bail to be let free. So
it has to be a verdict before talking about
after the trial.
Yeah, it has to be a trial first. Because then you're only giving bail to somebody who doesn't want to keep staying in custody.
Okay, I'm not arguing if this is fake news or real news. I'm saying that, okay, I'm not a lawyer, but we've seen cases whereby a case is just starting. People, for example, Iyanya himself has jumped attending the court proceedings for, is it 5 times or 6 times? And this last time, it's safe for them to feel like this guy might not show up and we want to keep him in custody while the case is ongoing, right? So that's what I'm saying. We've seen cases. I mean, when R. Kelly was being granted bail and all that, has he been found guilty of anything?
But he was remanded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you can say you must have been remanded for you to be asking for bail, but not
I'm trying to say is that you cannot give bail somebody, who's free.
Okay, I think we'll watch the space and make more findings before we carry on this conversation. Moving on to the next story, Tyler Perry requests second autopsy on nephew to determine if it was a murder or suicide. Tyler, however, said, and quotes, that he wants to be clear that the family is not a family of conspiracy theorists, and they want to believe that there was no foul play, just as the sheriff had said publicly. So this news of the death of his nephew broke yesterday. We didn't get to talk about it, but he released a statement same yesterday, giving a background of how he landed in jail. He basically
killed his father,
and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. And Tyler was saying that he hoped that he would serve his time, do the time basically, and then come out to work for him. Now, you could call him naive for thinking that way, but that was what he hoped, and unfortunately this has happened. But based on the things that we know happen in the prison or in the correctional system, that they would like to carry out another autopsy to be sure of what really happened. And from what I saw as well, there was a fight before this whole suicide thing. So I think it's safe for him to want to carry out another autopsy, and let's just see what the results will be.
I mean, it's very common in the prison cells to have a lot of cases where it's covered with suicide, but it's actually murder. But I'm just hoping that they get the closure that they're looking for. When I see families getting involved and there isn't a very strong enough case to ask for another autopsy, I just get really sad, because it looks like the family is the one just trying to get that closure. So I'm hoping that they find that. And if it is, in fact, correct, and this is not a sentimental thing and is actually on a good instinct, I really hope that they find that in their second autopsy. I also like that they're using somebody more popular that has an integrity on the line, to get a different type of perspective on the autopsy and the findings in there. It's just really sad. I know that Tyler Perry has been very open about his upbringing, and his stories kind of reflect his upbringing and stuff. It's been pretty intense and kind of crazy, and it's just sad to see a young person caught off like that. Was it naive to think that he could serve his time and go back to work? I don't really think so. I mean, the kid was young, and you never know. Like, he could have gone earlier than 20 years for good behavior or whatever, and then given the chance to start again. But being in prison is not as bad as dying, and so this is like no hope. It's done. It's finished, and it's kind of heartbreaking. So my heart goes out to him for that.
Yeah. So aside that, this guy got into a fight with another inmate, and was kept in solitary confinement. So, and we've seen, well, I haven't seen, but I've seen movies where you get in a fight and then they make your murder look like suicide. So I get where Tyler Perry is coming from. So like you said, I just hope they get the closure they're looking for, because this guy, I don't think he has any reason to kill himself, if you ask me, because he's already serving the sentence, and he didn't oppose the, what's it called now, the verdict against him. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, and all of that. So this is a man that was ready to do the time for his crime. So I don't think that's the kind of person that would want to kill himself. So I feel there's something fishy in this story as well. So let's just see, let's just watch the space, and like you rightly said, let's just hope they get the closure they're looking for.
It's time for a quick break, but when we return, there is so much more.
Hello, beautiful people. I go by the name Black Bassi, and I am an actor and a musician. Keep watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
In a world of overwhelming voices, where everyone has something to say,
it is important that we bring the core issues to the fore.
As we lend our voices to inspire, inform, influence, and provoke your thoughts and action.
We want to hear these issues and know what you are saying. This is not just women talking.
It is an evocative program that touches the core of our existence.
We take on topics some may consider taboo and want to sweep under the carpet.
We understand that what touches one touches all. We know you have a lot to say, so let's hear you.
Hi guys, my name is Yetunde Bakari. I'm an actress and a movie producer. I just want to tell you to keep watching Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Welcome back. This is still Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. Rob Kardashian's attempts to gain primary custody of Dream has been blocked by Blac Chyna. According to court documents obtained by The Blast, a Los Angeles judge has denied Rob's ex parte motion in the battle over their 3-year-old daughter, Dream. Congratulations to Blac Chyna.
Wing.
Yeah. I'm definitely in support of Blac Chyna on this one. I was through my research, it was still from social media, so I can't really back it up completely. But they were talking about how the reason why, especially Khloe Kardashian, which is ironic, but especially Khloe Kardashian, the worry is that they don't like the culture that she's passing on. And so it's a play of racism. It's like, twerking isn't a bad thing around your child. That's just black culture, American black culture. And you can see that there's some type of supremacy thing going on. And I'm sure they're thinking in their house that these kids are going to all grow together with a certain standard. And then you have someone who has that ghetto niche dream.
It's funny how people just don't see themselves. Like, wherever you are, you feel like your life is the best or you're portraying the best. Like, who are the Kardashians to think that they have the moral standard to actually tell somebody else how to raise their own child?
Especially when one of your family members was a sex tape superstar.
Not even that. The fact that they always
it's
go
not
for
like
black
they're the
men.
best. No, what I mean is like they're not like the best example.
It makes me even wonder that is it not then true about what they always say about like Kardashians are always sexualizing our men because you love them so much, all of you, all of you, literally, except the person that's single. Every single person there is with a black person, okay, except from Courtney. And then you all of a sudden you don't want the culture. So is it just for the down there, or is it like you really like it's
is it for the down there?
It's bizarre to me. And then Khloe, of all people, getting involved in somebody else's business. She's the one that always talked about how hard it is being a single parent. I would expect her to understand that. Like, you're talking about breaking up a family, and in America anyway, I guess
sister-in-laws never understand, even when they are drowning. They don't.
I guess the default also in America is that you always give it to the mother. So even if let's say they were both as bad, you always still give it to the mother. They're always leaning more to the mother. But the way the judge dismissed the case, it made me happy that somebody else can actually see that this is even becoming a joke. She hasn't threatened the child's safety or the child's well-being. You're not paying custody for that. I feel like it should be the other way around, where Blac Chyna is actually taking Rob on the fact that he's not paying custody.
Splitting the child support 50-50.
Yeah, so it's like you should be taking care of this girl, but you can see that they've planned, and these Kardashians can be vicious like that. You see that they've planned to kind of like dry her out, like we're not going to support you, and just undermine the girl. But I'm glad that she's pulling the weights and she's doing everything she can for her daughter.
I think this is just a play of power by the Kardashians. They just wanted to show that, okay, we're the Kardashians, we can do anything, and then Blac Chyna, you're not up to standard. But I like what the court did. What the judge did, it just shows that there's still justice, and there are people that can read between the lines and actually know that, look, this is what you're trying to do. Like you said, she hasn't proven a threat to her safety and all of that. And most of the things you're accusing her of doing is, like you said, it's the American black culture. Like, most African Americans do these things in front of their kids. So the fact that you guys are trying to be all bougie and stuff doesn't mean you need to impact that into another person's life. It's my decision how I want to raise my child, unless it's now beginning to affect the child's safety.
If I'm going to add on to that, I don't feel like it's Khloe Kardashian that is more unstable to be raising her kid. I remember she made a statement saying that she doesn't see color, and I was just like, you are remotely not even prepared to be raising a black child, and that child that she has is pretty dark skinned to me, if you ask me. And America is the type of culture where you're white or you're not. Like, they don't have mixed race. Here we even have like you're half. In America, if you're not fully white, you're black. That's how you're treated. So if anybody is not even ready or equipped enough to actually raise the child in the way that they need it, it's her. It's ridiculous. This story just is completely ridiculous.
So let's
just say
Black China
congratulations to
win,
Black
win,
China,
win.
right?
Yeah.
And hope that Rob,
sure they will come back.
Rob
I'm
will
sure
not
the
bring. That's what I'm
Kardashians will
saying.
come
Let's
back.
hope that he doesn't bring another.
I know they will. They will definitely come back with something else and just.
This thing is money. I don't know if they'll have the time, but let's see.
But they have the money.
They do. True.
Okay,
And
moving
they
on.
have the lawyers with the time.
Yeah, disrespectful actors have all fizzled out of the movie industry, and this is coming from Yuli Jochi. He said when he joined Nollywood in 2005, he met a couple of actors, directors who had no respect for the elders in the business. Today, all these guys have fizzled out without achieving much, while the veterans are still waxing strong. He hopes someone learns something from this. I don't know. Maybe he needs to name names. I don't know who he's talking about as fizzled out. I'm not quite sure, but well, I guess he's trying to pass the culture of respect.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think it's that important.
Respect is not that important.
It is important, but it's not that important. We've seen people who have...
Not in this part of the world.
Oh, okay. Okay. If you say so.
Not in this part. Respect is very, very important in this
There's
part
many
of the world.
people that
Maybe
are
I'll put it
just
this way. Respect is
undisposable.
important, but not as deep as he's making it look.
Yeah.
Because this is why I'm saying he should name names. Who are the people he's talking about that did not respect people
Because
in
I
the
feel like
industry?
they would have
Did
fizzled
they leave
out
the
if they were
industry?
if they were respectful. Are you fizzling out because you are not because you are disrespectful? You are fizzling out because
But
you're just not
we've
important.
seen a lot of people that have fizzled out or gone down in their career because of their bad attitude.
But we see the lots that were respectful, professional, and all,
And they still fizzled out.
Yeah, but we're talking
Are you
about...
telling me that everybody that's doing well now...
Statistics.
Yeah, you said everybody that's doing well now
is respectful. This is some like overly
Davido is not
sentimental.
respectful and he's
Whiskey
doing
doesn't
pretty
have
well.
manners for
What?
anyone. Wizkid.
Wizkid has a lot.
Wizkid knows how to
Have you
keep
seen-
his business, like keep to himself. But in terms of interaction, I don't see him doubling for people and say yes.
Wizkid?
Yes. Were we not on this table when we were talking about? Were we not on this table when we were talking about
Dobales
Two-Face?
to everybody.
Like
Wizkid Dobales to everyone and
Like-
everyone. If Wizkid wants to greet you now, it's like this. Tubaba is like this. Do you understand? Like
Let's not
certain
bring
people.
Wizkid into
And then
this place, I beg. Let's
just
focus
bring
on
me to
you.
the Davido story where he slapped a photojournalist.
That's like a full story on its own. If
on
you
the
cannot
chest.
bring it in.
No, I want to bring it in because when the boy's mother spoke, she was like, you need to learn respect from
From
people
who?
like Wizkid. She used Wizkid.
She knows nothing about Wizkid.
What does
She's
she
just
know?
calling names.
See, the
That
whole
whole
video is
video-
crap.
No, she ranted a lot.
So you can't even use that.
Does she know
I don't
Wizkid's personally? I don't
I'm
think.
telling you that people that know Wizkid will tell you how humble he
Can we
is.
not make this
Wait,
about Wizkid
I'm
and
telling you
focus?
for a fact. If you are good at what you do and you've made yourself undisposable, you don't need respect. It'll be hard for you to work with. I know people in the industry, actresses now. Let me even tailor it down. She is completely difficult. I'm not going to name names. From the camera guy to the makeup artist, everybody doesn't want to work with her, but she's still in blockbuster movies. She's still undisposable. Nobody can act. Nobody can act like her or perform what she's performing, and they just close their eyes and squeeze their face, but still work with her. So I'm telling you for a fact, if you make yourself undisposable, you're good at what you do. I'm not there to make friends. I, for one, I'm even iffy about this topic because I remember coming back into the country and I was just thinking, are people going to eat this thing for breakfast? Like, I must greet you 5 times and I must answer you and I must...
people, they feel like, you didn't greet me. Like,
yeah, or you say...
And sometimes you need to
it's
also
just not
try to
necessary.
find out
Like,
what he sees respect as.
Thank you.
So his respect could be that because the veteran wants to sit on this chair...
And you must get up.
Or because the veteran said this is right and everybody knows it's wrong.
Yeah.
But if you get up and tell the person this is wrong, then you're disrespectful.
And then this will also... sorry, I'm making
making
references to different story, the Wole Soyinka story and the guy that wanted the seat and told Wole Soyinka to move.
You can be polite, you can be decent, but you don't have to be...
And did you see how Wole Soyinka handled it? Because that's somebody that understands that, look, it's not about all of that. Like, he came out to tell you that, look, it doesn't really matter. The man wanted the seat. You understand? Like,
respect in this part of the world is
out,
very, it's too tied to submission, it's too tied to being mute, it's too tied to being like slavey. Yeah. So I'm coming from a man like that. I'm not sure I would even fit his category of respect ever. And I'm not even planning on doing that. So for him to align people's successes to one aspect of respect is a bit much.
And especially with this generation, like, we really don't give who you are. We do what we gotta do.
Okay, I don't totally agree, but it's okay. Moving on to the next
Oh,
story.
yeah? You don't?
No, I don't. The biggest scam ever invented by parents was an ease making their children send them money in their old age. I repeat, you don't owe your parents anything. They were here before you and should have prepared for old age. Parents are always taking and taking. Stop the pressure. I did not say it.
Up.
It's coming from Noble Igwe.
Noble, shut up. And I'm saying that with no respect. You may be older than me, but I'm saying that with absolutely no respect because even the Bible says...
Why do you think Noble is older than you?
Yeah,
Noble is a young guy.
Yeah, he's a young guy, but he's older than me.
Really?
He's in his late 30s. I mean,
well, since
30s.
when?
Noble is like 35, 36, 37. I'm not up to that.
Noble, okay. I'm not,
Noble is what?
I'll have to find that out, but I don't think Noble is in his late 30s anyway. But
Okay, regardless, even if you're not older than me, verse, just shut up because even the Bible says, honor thy father and your mother.
Honor doesn't mean spending money.
No, wait. Secondly, when you say you don't owe your parents nothing, these are people that have invested in you. You are who you are today because of your upbringing. Unless you're saying that you don't owe any parent that didn't help you. I owe my parents a lot.
Okay, so I'm hearing Noble is 41 years old.
Exactly.
Wow.
So he's older than me.
Wowzy.
Wow.
No, it's wowzy.
Yeah,
wow.
so,
Okay, I'm sincerely shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're saying that your parents didn't do nothing for you, then maybe you don't owe them anything. But not people like me that...
I think this conversation is sensitive.
It is.
For this part of the world. Let me be done. We have heard you shut up. So it is sensitive for this part of the world because we have a culture, right? If there is some sense in what he said, and at the same time, maybe the way he put it, it came across as you just being insensitive and not knowing what you're saying. I mean, I was even having this conversation, which was why I was almost laughing while I was reading it. I was having a conversation with a friend, and we hung out somewhere, and we actually saw Noble himself hanging out with some girls and, you know, chilling. And my friend was like, so, but those girls that you're spending money on, do you owe them anything? So sometimes it's just a sense of duty. And the part where he said that they've been here a long time, God rest my mom, but she was someone who would always tell you that your education and everything you're doing now, don't think I'm doing it or pushing you because I want you to come and help me. Before you even think of taking care of me, you must have eaten and be comfortable before you come back to help me. And trust me, I'm not going to, this is what she says, I'm not going to sit back to wait for you to help me because I have businesses, right?
My dad
but,
says
well,
that.
she's not here anymore, right? But that was the kind of mindset she had, and she wasn't going to hold on for you. But there are actually families that make it a point of duty. It's not just the parents who, if you are unfortunate enough, let me put it that way, to be the first child and you have siblings, your life is to take care of all that siblings, except you're lucky enough one of them becomes big and, you know, somebody helps you out. There are people that are under serious pressure to take care of the family, and it's not necessary.
I like the choice of words they're using, like sense of duty, because if you look at Igwe's post, I think he said everything correct. It is a fact that it's not your responsibility. When you're bringing a child into this world, you cannot make them your pension plan. That's not part of...
That's why there's a pension plan.
Yes, it's not part of parenting. But did he execute that message in a bit of a lashful way?
Yeah.
Yes. And is it dutiful? Is it supposed to be something that a normal, good child raised with sense should do? Yes. But the person, he isn't wrong and he doesn't need to shut up.
Yeah.
But in this part of the world, we are more dependent. We have a dependent culture because we're not that sufficient in terms of finances. So we all lean on each other, and there's nothing wrong with helping your family.
We need to actually go, unfortunately.
I wish I could
Thank
say
you
this.
for watching.
I'll say this in the afternoon.
You can catch up on this conversation by visiting our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. You can also watch Tea Time on Auto TV and in London on Ben Television. My thank you as always go to my co-anchors, Ife Omai and Ife Oluwa-Oshunkeye, and the entire production team. Thank you for watching Plus TV Africa's Tea Time. My name is Elsie Godwin. Do stay with us.
Hi everyone, my name is Inkem Machi. I'm an actor. Keep watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all.
We're a bit too selfish when it comes to, the climate and the society. And I think eventually Earth is going to say, you know what, I'm done.
Climate change, especially what we're experiencing now, some of them, most of them is actually man-made.
Climate change is both ways. It is natural occurrences that leads to climate change. We might be positive. And there are human activities.
So these days we have investors trying to say, well, if you are not practicing sustainable days or climate smart technology, we're not going to invest.
The state is supposed to manage the local government to deal with our waste. Anywhere in the world, the local governments
has the power
manage the waste because they are closer to the people.
Yes. The evidence of human-made climate change is overwhelming.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
All right, country people, I greet you on top of 0 o'clock. I'm Sunate. Join us for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. This is not the Toronto Sam given my name and promise, Nero. They say the Federal Ministry of Health will confirm the first case of coronavirus disease, COVID-19, for Nigeria. The Minister of Health, Dr. Saige Ehanire, he confirmed the case for one Yanis Wemse give for the early hours of today, February 28, 2020. As the antique day, he said he involved one Italian citizen when he said they work for Nigeria. And when we say just show back from Milan, Italy, on the 25th of February 2020. And the virology laboratory of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, when we say be the part of the laboratory network of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, now it confirms say he get the sickness. The ministry can say the patient is clinically stable with no serious symptom, and then they manage him for the infectious disease hospital inside Yaba, Lagos. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health for Lagos State don't confirm their first case of novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19, when we say it be the first for Nigeria and inside West Africa since the outbreak of China for January 2020. This one day, the statement when we say the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, he released on Friday morning. Now the second confirmed case inside Africa after the recent one when we say they just recovered for Algeria inside North Africa. The novel virus, they don't waka well, as they don't report them for over 20 countries across Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and now for Africa. Like the case when we say they confirmed for Algeria, the victim when we say be one Italian traveler, he showed Nigeria on Tuesday from Milan for one business trip. The victim he used the Murtala Mohammed International Airport for Lagos. And the state government say that they work with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and other preparedness group to see say they manage the case well, make it for no carry waka. The Senate yesterday told the Health Ministry to do more work to contain the spread of coronavirus. Senators say they want to put more visible measures for the nation international airports. Say because outbreak for the country if it was. The president of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, is someone accused for the Federal Ministry of Health head, say they know they do enough. Say the protection of Nigeria people must be number one thing for government to consider because what the virus don't cause for other countries, it was well.
Mr. President, because of the pandemic nature of coronavirus, every country in the world is taking preventive measures. because the wisdom is that prevention is better than cure. When we landed in South Africa, we were not allowed to leave the aircraft for a good 30 minutes. Officers of the medical corps of the South African Army came into the aircraft and screened everybody before we were allowed out of this aircraft. When I arrived yesterday at the Nnamdi Azikiwe airport, there was no screening. All we were given is a sheet of paper to indicate whether we were sick, whether we had been to one country or the other, and how we'll be contacted in emergency. What are you contacted in emergency? How do you train me? How do you know whether I fall sick after I left the airport? So this is very frightening, Mr. President and the senators. Very frightening. And I think something has to be done to ensure that we do not give way to a situation which we will not be able to control.
Today, every country in the world tries to ensure that if it has coronavirus, it limits it to those that are affected, that it doesn't go beyond those that are affected. And if it doesn't, every country tries to ensure that it doesn't cross to its border. While the Federal Ministry of Health and the associated agencies may be doing their best, I think at the moment with this kind of explanation, this best is not good enough. And we shouldn't take anything for granted. We are a prideful nation, but when we pray, we should walk the prayer. We are not hoping, but we must be prepared. We must take all the necessary measures at our ports, airports, seaports. People who are coming back to Nigeria, especially from areas that we have been identified to have this, in fact, should be screened. This is the least we can do. If someone is coming back from China, he should be quarantined, not self-isolation. Should be quarantined for whether it is 2 weeks or 4 weeks. We have to protect the lives of Nigerians. So our Committee on Public Health, the chairman, Senator Otazi, you recall, came up with a motion which was very exhaustive on this. But I want to urge the committees on primary health care and health to engage with the Federal Ministry of Health once again. We want to see every possible effort done at our airports, at our seaports, that people are screened when they come into our country. We are 200 million. It doesn't mean that we can afford to part with anybody. Every single life matters. With this, I want to thank you once again, Deputy Leader, for bringing.
The Senate called say may they end one gas flaring for the country. And the Senate when we say that they shook mouth for say one bill to stop gas flaring for Niger Delta. When we say Senator Akpan Bassey sponsor say Niger they lose billions every year, as both international and indigenous oil companies like to flare gas because the federal government not agree one show face. Senator Akpan say that they lost over 200 billion naira every year, while other lawmakers say flaring, they put the environment and people of the Niger Delta for risk. The bill passed the second reading on top the matter.
Mr. President, the impact on gas flaring on the environment and the lives of our people need not be overemphasized. Available data from the NNPC has shown that in 2018 alone, Nigeria lost over 217 billion naira in revenue as oil and gas companies flared a total of 244.84 billion standard cubic feet of natural gas within the same period, with the average price of natural gas put at $2.90 per thousand scoop as of February 16, 2017. Mr. President, you could see the huge loss that we incurred. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this volume of gas flare, according to analysis, is sufficient to feed 3 LNG trains or generate 3.5 gigawatts of electricity. Mr. President, the last time, the main objective of this bill was that the last time any regulation was done on gas flaring was in 1979, which actually stipulated only 10 naira per 1,000 scoop of gas. So despite all that we had been flamed with the president, all we could generate was barely 2 billion naira a year. So what the bill actually seek to achieve with the president is to have a timeline where the Minister of Petroleum Resources must always review the situation in the oil and gas sector as regards gas flaring. It was through the instrumentality of this bill, the president, that the president, President Muhammadu Buhari, signed just last year, September, between September and October, the first gas flaring penalty, which actually increased the penalty from 10 naira per standard cubic scoop of gas to about $1.20. This has catapulted the revenue on the gas flaring.
The gas flaring has remained something the oil companies are not willing to stop. For me, there is no amount of cost that will be enough for us to continue to allow gas to be flared in Nigeria. We should stop gas flaring. The bill should state clearly that gas flaring should be stopped. The gas should be reinjected and reused to generate electricity or to provide raw material for the LNG plants. So when this bill goes to the committee for more work, I think we should have a date that should be specific when gas flaring should stop. The effect of gas flaring, if you go to the Niger Delta, you see plants, we can't grow plants anymore. The damage on the environment is too much. We are having degradation coming from oil spillages. Now we are also having degradation coming from gas flares. The damage is too much that I don't think any amount of money will be enough to compensate for the damage and the sufferings and the diseases that are coming out from the Niger Delta.
Apart from the danger to the environment that flaring causes, what we lose in economic terms is unimaginable. At this point in time in the world, when people are speaking to the issues of environment and the disasters that accompany our refusal to do that which is needful in terms of global practices relating to the processing of oil and gas, etc. We are still in this country allowing companies to go away with excesses that are detrimental to the health of our people. It's not acceptable at all. I think we should all put our hands and heads together to ensure that these practices do not happen at all. The companies themselves are aware that what they are doing is wrong. And a bill such as this is very, very...
The House of Representatives don't call for alternative funding for Nigerian military as they do one campaign against terrorism. The chairman of the House Committee on Top Defense, Honorable Babajimi Benson, he tell lawmakers to approve one alternative and pump better funding plan to see they put plenty money for the military for more effective and better motivation. The bill when we say pass the second reading now waiting cause a strong debate for the floor of the House as other lawmakers talk their mind for both the bill and against them.
It's a bill that has 23 sections. It has a board that appears transparent and accountable. We have not just allowed the service chiefs and defense CDS become members. We have looked at the private sector. We have included men of integrity, particularly the MD, the guy in the Sovereign Wealth Fund. We've also included a retired TBN governor and heads of communication and oil and gas companies.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that if we are really serious on funding the military, then I believe the National Assembly should take the bull by the horns and lead by example. And why I say so, Mr. Speaker, I believe every single member in this chamber, if we are really serious, then we should donate a percentage of our salaries to the armed forces. We should take the bull by the horn and let it start from this chamber, Mr. Speaker. Every member, for the duration of this tenor from 2019 to 2023. I'm aware that $1 billion was at the time announced that we're taking it from the sovereign account or federation account for that fight. Could have that money be disbursed? If it was disbursed, what did they use it for? $1 billion. Is that not enough for them to fight an army they describe, rebels described as ragtag rebels? How can they get $1 billion and we don't know what it's used for? I want to say that there's absolute need for accountability on this war. If there's no accountability, even if you give them the whole world, they will not use it for anything. And again, while I support Babajimi because he's my brother from Lagos, I also want to say that 1% of federation account money is too much. 1% from VAT is too much. 0.5% from several welfare is too much. How much is the state getting? There are several windows of opportunities, best practices that are being done in other parts of the world. Those of you who travel frequently, you stay in hotels in Europe. There are taxes that you pay that go to the security agencies. They call the terrorism tax. You may not notice it's very small.
The armed forces or the military to dip their hands into the funds and just spend willy-nilly however they want it. No. Subsection 2 actually mandates that it's a contingency fund, that they will now bring their requests for expenditure from that fund to the National Assembly for approval. So there are already checks and balances that have been baked into that section and into the bill.
They say they don't pass the bill and say they want to give immunity to principal officers of the House for second reading for the House of Representatives. The bill will protect executive officers from any legal prosecution for their tenure for service. Now they say the lawmakers do and say they want to test for one public hearing to allow Niger people make their input. Lawmakers say one extension of protection to the legislature it will help preserve Niger growing democracy.
Now we have privilege of serving in this army chamber, but tomorrow another person will be there. But when we look back, we should be able to say we have been able to stabilize this nation, because this is the arm of government that given the power by the Constitution to balance, to checkmate, to expose. But the leader of that institution is free. There's no constitutional backing to guarantee him of saying the truth, of saying the critical matters when it is necessary.
The wisdom of the drafters of this constitution, when they were doing it, was to create a kind of shield, administrative shield, for head of executive's arm of government, whether at the center or at the periphery, so that these officials of government may not be unnecessarily distracted from discharging their responsibility. If that could be a good reason, an acceptable reason to be embodied in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mr. Speaker, I stand and I dare say that it is also worthy to extend this kind of protection to the head of Nigeria's legislatures, whether at the center or at the periphery.
What is that we cannot do on this floor and be held accountable, or by the presiding officers that should be so desirous of us passing an amendment to include a clause that says there should be immunity for presiding officers? Mr. Speaker, I think it's wrong and it should not be.
The Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Toko Buratai, he don't relocate to the Operation Lafia Dole Theater inside Maduguri, Borno State, to boost the war against the new terrorist attacks. One top source for inside the Defense Headquarters, Abuja, confirmed this one, give our talk person, as they say Buratai visit still condemned to recent ginger and wahala among the troops. On Wednesday, the Army confirmed say one of their corporals opened fire for who they work with, as he killed 4 people, himself, and injured 2 others. The Army talk man, Colonel Saga Musa, he said the mass shooting happened for the Army Super Camp 15. When he say they Malam Faturi, as they rush the 2 people when he say they injured go one military hospital inside Maduguri, Borno State. One authoritative source tell our talk person say the thing when we say they happen for the Northeast don't make the Chief of Army Staff to relocate to the Northeast. He did the theater of war and a visit go join for the meeting with operation commanders and troops to find out what they happen. Boko Haram fighters for the week don't change Agbege for communities inside Borno and Adamawa State when we say it be the Shibok local government area when we say they take back one top civilian task force commander and other people for the area. All right, the news will continue after the chicken break. Mona no go anywhere. The U.S. government of Sama wants say a terrorist group fit they do one kind plot for one attack against one major hotel inside Nairobi. The alert for the embassy website is some advice give the U.S. tourists say may they exercise high vigilance when they visit or to stay for hotel for the Nairobi area and to be aware of the hotel's waka waka plan. The alert advise travelers to torchlight their personal security plans, to know what they happen for inside where they day, and to monitor local media for plenty updates. The hotel, when we say they talk, they never know them, and but they say they believe say, and one of the hotel when we say popular with tourists and business travelers. As the embassy talk person take care, they say the United States and Kenya they work well to share information and to monitor the security area for inside the country. The embassy here say better security alert to U.S. citizens. They give timely information to them so that they feel informed travel decision as they hot. The alert happened even as the Inspector General of Police give assurance to Kenya say everything they go well. Inside one year news to newsroom, Hilary Motiambe, he say Kenya supposed to do their normal day-to-day activities without say they fear. He say police don't ginger border surveillance to see say criminal elements come out from say they don't enter the country. As way to end the terrorism when they say they scatter Sahel region of Africa, the African Union, they're ready to carry 3,000 troops to the country for inside the region. The year when we say happen, they say now for the AU summit and early this month, 19 happen. Smile Chenge, when we say be Oga of AU Peace and Security Commission, and that one. He confirmed on Thursday say the AU it is sent through because of regional forces when we say that they struggle to shoot mad for nearly 8-year-old waka from armed Islamists. The African Union go to work together with the G5 Sahel and ECOWAS. G5 Sahel now 5,000 member joint force when we say they're already there for ground inside the Sahel. And ECOWAS now the West Africa region bloc. They say one localized revolt when we say start from northern Mali inside 2012. They don't waka go the center of the country and the neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. All right, the next one, our foreign news.
If you know what it means to drink mud water in the battleground, and only for you to arrest these same people, and somebody says because they are child soldiers, and so you rehabilitate them for a month, and then you throw them back, and they come back to confront you.
We have brought the army down to nothing.
Nothing.
So I don't blame us for not knowing what to do about soldiers.
I wonder how they go to sleep knowing fully well that people are suffering around them, and then the fun meant to all of us, they take it away, keep it somewhere, and it's not doing anything.
They have no conscience. That's really all I have to say. Nigeria is for sale. I think Nigeria has actually been for sale for a long time.
I want to completely disagree.
And you're telling somebody who is still recovering from having exhausted themselves
and didn't get
against the
anything
behemoths of APC and PDP. Those same people who are looting us.
If you don't have 2 hours, I won't come back. 2 hours for me alone.
There you go.
And onto foreign, they say Lithuania report their first coronavirus infection on Friday for one woman body when we say just show back from one visit to Italy northern city of Verona. The government now talk this one as a disease they work out worldwide. Hope say they go fit hold the virus for China, it don't finish. With countries when we say they don't start to buy medical equipment and investors when we say they don't take flight as they expect global recession. For one yarn, the Lithuanian government say they don't lock the woman for one place inside one hospital for the northern town of Sulea as she show back on Monday. She did under observation since, and she did show only small symptoms with no high temperature for the moment. One senior Turkish official said they don't kill like 33 Turkish soldiers for one airstrike when we say Syrian regime forces for northwestern Syria, they do. Dogan, when we say the governor of Turkey, Hatay province, he say plenty people injured for the Idlib province. Other reports say people when say they die don't go up. Turkey come later, call fight against Syria troop government target on top of the matter. And Syrian forces, when we say Russia supported, they try to retake Idlib from rebels when we say that they backed by Turkish soldiers.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Event is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, by no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event
on Plus TV. Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
If you know what it means to drink mud water in the battleground, and only for you to arrest these same people, and somebody says because they are child soldiers, and so you rehabilitate them for a month, and then you throw them back, and they come back to confront you.
We have brought the army down to nothing.
Nothing.
So I don't blame us for not knowing what to do about soldiers.
I wonder how they go to sleep knowing fully well that people are suffering around them, and then the fun meant to all of us, they take it away, keep it somewhere, and it's not doing anything.
They have no conscience. That's really all I have to say. Nigeria is for sale. I think Nigeria has actually been for sale for a long time.
I want to completely disagree.
And you're telling somebody who is still recovering from having exhausted themselves
and didn't get
against the behemoths of APC and PDP. Those same people who are looting us. If
you don't have 2 hours, I won't come back. 2 hours for me alone.
There you go.
Sees it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ladies Talking Business. I'm your host, Irene Ubani, and in the studio with me is my co-host,
Morimi Ako.
Okay, so today we have an amazing guest, Tina Shire. She's a commercial lawyer and now the founder and CEO of Zulin Restaurant. We'll take a quick break now. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. All right, Tina, from being a commercial lawyer to the owner of a restaurant, tell us about it.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Sure.
Yes, I trained as a lawyer. That was my first passion. And then, of course, my first love, more to say. And then my passion, which is now the culinary space. So yes, it was a bit of soul searching for me to get to where I am today. There was a lot of what ifs in the process, but thank God we're here today, so yes. And I'm still a lawyer. It never will go away.
Oh, great.
Yes, and some of the skills, thankfully, are transferable from, analytical skills from the law. I use it also in my culinary business, so yes.
Interesting. So moving from law to being a restaurateur, it was a major move, right?
Definitely.
So how was the transition?
So like I said, it was not without its back end or shortcuts. There was a kairos moment, actually. Let me just start from there to say that I had a talk with my mentor, and she told me, what is it you're really afraid of? Because I had my what ifs, or if I go into the business and it doesn't pan out well, what will happen and all of that. And she just said, Tina, you're still young. It's better you go for it now. In your 40s or 50s, you will regret not making that move. And then you cannot change, you cannot turn back the hands of time. What is the worst that could happen? Is maybe the business fails, and so you dust your CV, get back to your work, and get right back to it. And for me, that was a kairos moment because I struggled a lot with leaving the law to go start something else. So when she said that to me, that was all I needed to know. And then I went on with my passion.
Great.
Yes.
I mean, when it comes to businesses that have to do with restaurants, we have over 2,000 restaurants here in Lagos. So how were you able to create a niche for yourself?
So coming into a restaurant business is a very competitive business, definitely. You have to know your unique selling proposition, your USP. So for us, we did a lot of work in terms of trying to find out what will make us different, how we can come out different, how our customers specifically can have a different experience as Zulin. So that's what we really did to come to that.
Okay, so you've just said how you've been able to do some things differently, but
Yes.
most importantly, how have you been able to position your business for profit?
Okay, so yes, like I said, our unique selling purpose, first of all, we are in Ikoyi. If you know Ikoyi very well, there are not a lot of restaurants around there. Yes, especially where we are. There's not even a restaurant around there. So we did our visibility studies to find out exactly what the sort of customers that we'll be catering to at the time and how we can go about it. We found out that a lot of the people around us are busy working moms. A lot of people are also the older class of people, because those are the people that stay in Ikoyi who are very accomplished, and so their taste is on the high side, yeah. So we
The
had to,
high-end markets.
yes, the high end. So I said, okay, even if we are to cater for even the young, the old, we have the range of people to cater for, but we're supposed to be excellent at what we do. So for our food and our offerings, it has to stand out because of the set of markets we're catering to. So yes, that was really key for us. And because of that, what we did differently from other restaurants was we opened 6 months before without catering to the outside world. We did training for our staff for a good 6 months.
Wow, that's
yes.
a lot of training.
Yeah, we did a lot of training and back-end stuff before we eventually, and then we had people come over to try us and all of that, maybe friends and family, before we eventually opened to the public.
That was very important. I mean,
yes.
I think that was a very good place to start. What do you think?
I think that was awesome. Training for 6 months.
Because you know, sometimes when you go to all of these restaurants, their staff puts you off. Because I think the owners probably just focus on the service they are rendering and not understanding that right from the gate, the
Customer
security,
service.
exactly, customer service is very important as well. All right, so moving forward, what are those basic things that you need to know before starting a restaurant? Especially in Lagos, is there something different?
There's a lot of things. I mean, first of all, you must have capital. It's a capital-intensive business in terms of space. And then for a startup business, it's advised by most business schools that you have a working capital for at least a year, 6 months to be modest.
Oh.
So yes, you have like a working capital, you have monies. So either you've secured a loan, you have income from family and friends, but you have a sort of capital, you know. And then if you're going to go into a limited business, you have your filings with the CAC and all of that. And then you know the sort of taxes you're supposed to be paying to the government, FIRS, LIRS, and then the local government. Because those people can shut you down. There's no, ignorance is not an excuse, yeah? And then, of course, your type of business, which for us, you know, is the restaurant business. We have to have the required skill both in the kitchen and in the front of house, which is our service staff and our chefs. You know, so we train for the skill, and then you know, people you're going to train or they're going to have different experiences from wherever they're coming from. But we had what we wanted our own staff to have, so we had to train them to say this is how we would like or would rather have it done in Zolene. You understand? So we had our Zolene style. And it took some time, and it still takes a lot of time, you know, and then training again is not a one-off. So that 6 months we did, it will amaze you to know that in the 7 months that had gone, you understand? It's a continuous process where you have to train. And then in the restaurant business, you have a lot of turnover of staff. You know, thankfully, I mean, we've had a lot of staff who started with us, still remain with us. We're thankful. Of course, some have gone.
Yeah,
but so the ones that have stayed back helped to shape sort of, because they already know the norms and the standards, and people that come in, they sort of try to, you know, fit in to the norm and standard, and then keep on training. It's a weekly thing.
Oh, weekly?
Yes, for the service business, that's how much.
So for that 6 months, were you scared at any point, or did you have the fear of, oh my goodness, I hope when I'm done training these people, they won't just leave?
I mean, so for business and everything, you know, everything can happen or anything can happen.
Actually, so many.
So you have to get prepared.
Yes, it can even happen that all of them will go. It won't stop me from running the business, right? I already had structures in place and things to do when there's an issue like that. Thankfully, you know, I did some chef's training. I have the passion to do, you know, cook and all of that. But of course, as the restaurateur of the business, the founder, I thought it wise to get chefs. You know, we work together, and then we create the menu and all of that, and then we do things together. But I didn't want to stay back in the kitchen because I had other things to supervise, the innovation, you know, managerial, yes. So overseeing of the entire business was more paramount, you know, than all of that. So yes, it's been a wonderful experience, really.
I mean, I like the point you just made about structure, having structures in place.
Yeah,
so, yeah, very, very important. So how long did it take you to go from, you know, from concept to implementation?
So, like, you know, thankfully I got a lot of scholarships. I mean, for my law degree, I had studied abroad in the University of London. And then for me, I just knew that for a business and a small business or an entrepreneur, an abroad education may not really cut it. So I really desire to say, how can I learn from the people who have in the same environment.
Understand the local market.
Yes,
That's key.
who know how it feels when there's no light. There is no, you understand? The staff are behaving a certain way. How do I learn? So I got a scholarship from the African Managers Initiative, and it was also in collaboration with the EDC, Enterprise Development. So they trained us the local content, the local market, and I thought, yes, this is good. This is what I really want to run the business. So I had a better understanding of what it takes, to run a business in Nigeria. Yes, I already knew. I'm like, okay, no surprises. You know, those days will come definitely when you feel, oh my goodness, what is going on and all of that. Thankfully, there are also days when you're happy that you are in it. So take for instance, over the weekend, we were nominated as one of the top 100 fastest growing SMEs in Nigeria.
Yay!
Thank you. So those are the kind of things, you know, that gives us, you know, joy.
At least you know you're doing something right.
Yes, somebody sees that, oh, the hard work is paying off, and I'm like, thank you, thank you.
That's amazing. All right, so we're going to take a quick break now. We'll take a quick break now. Do stay with us. We're still speaking with Tina Shirey. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Yeah, Tina, when businesses want to start, most times people complain about finances and funding. So how were you able to source for funding for your business?
Okay, well...
I mean, you are in a very prime location, Ikoyi.
Yes.
We're going to pay you a visit, by the way.
Yes, please do. Time and chance happened for me. I had a bit of savings, and I had family and friends support me. Like I said, I also had like a scholarship. It also came with a Bank of Industry loan, which was a single-digit loan for a couple of million. So that's how I really started. So I had family and friends, I had personal savings, family and friends, and then from BOI.
But how easy was it getting funding from BOI?
Exactly.
So the thing is, because they're a bit of, they really want to be sure of how they're lending and if your business is profitable. And I do not blame them, because we're a startup. We'll say all that we can say to say, okay, this is what will happen.
Exactly. I mean, they're in business for business, not for charity.
So, I mean, on their end, I won't fault them in the sense that they had no track record to really say, oh. So for now, I'm 2 years in the business. If I go, they'll want to see my records. And based on that, in fact, we have been having a lot of calls to say, how about you come and lend, or we will come and, but we want the business to grow organically, right? So we take funds when we need it. But for now, we're saying the business is making its own profits, and we're turning it over back into the business to make more profits. So we don't want to, you know, borrow from everywhere. Another school of thought thinks that is different, but, you know, everybody with their own sort of approach to this thing called entrepreneurship, right?
I mean, based on what you just said, I know that I've heard, you're not the first person that is saying it's really risky and not reasonable to borrow what you do not need. At what point did you really know as a business that I need more funds, or I need to get a loan? Because it seems as though there are some businesses that kill themselves by getting more loan.
Yeah, so the thing is, for us, we have our business plan. We have said, for instance, in the 5th year, we'll look at getting another location. Okay. Hopefully, the business will be able to meet up with the demands for a new location. But if not, we may consider getting a loan at that point, but not before then. So for major expenses like that, you know, you can consider getting a loan. You know, for us, because the loan from BOI was really cheap as against benchmarking against our commercial markets or commercial banks, we thought to go with it. Not like we really needed it that much. We were really focused on how the business can grow organically.
Okay. I mean, that's amazing, because like she said, people would advise you don't go for loans if you don't need them. That try to do stuff within your means.
But for you to grow your business, let me just put a balance to it. For you to grow your business, you need some form of funding, some sort of funding. Sorry.
But just make sure you need it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not for spendthrift, possible.
Because someone has said to me before that the money that people actually think they need money to expand, but it's probably not money that's the problem. They probably need to work on their internal structure and stuff.
Some innovation,
you know, to keep it going. It's not just about the money. So I was going to ask, how localized is your business in terms of ambience, food, And every other thing, how localized is it?
So we're a contemporary African restaurant, a contemporary African and fusion restaurant. So what we do,
need to visit.
So what we do is we're saying this is new Nigeria, this is new Africa. You know, our parents, our grandparents came up with these recipes that we love so much. So what we did was to infuse our Western influence onto those. Like what?
Can you give us,
so for instance, akara, you know, rather than deep frying the akara, we put it on the waffle maker. One is sweeter, another is healthier. You can't even imagine how it tastes. Maker. Yes. So
you see what we should be.
But, I mean, there's a particular technique to it. So if you try it at home and it doesn't work, be sure to come and visit us, right? So, and then of course we have like for pesto lovers, for instance. Pesto is an international meal. We are eclectic like that. So we say, okay, you use the foreign products to make pesto. We now decided to use our local ingredients, our African basil, scent leaf, our pania cheese, the cheese grown in the north, to make our own pesto. That's one of our signature dishes as well. So the sort of things that we do, we add some key ingredients to some key meals, and you'll be amazed how adding some different spices, you know, and herbs to a meal just changes the whole.
Now you're getting me hungry. You're getting me hungry.
So, I mean, there are times when, in a bid to increase your profit margin, you realize that some of these businesses start to dwindle in terms of the quality. So how are you able to measure this up?
So then again, you must look again into every time we go back to our planning, our business plan, because it's easy to lose track of focus. Yes. So you have to be intentional on how you want to run. A lot of people will come with ideas. How about you do this? How about you sell this? You understand? But know what you're capable of, your strength, your staff strength, first of all.
Niche market.
Yes. And then if you want to expand or you want to grow in terms of the production that you make, your staff has to grow. The staff strength has to grow. The cost, the inventory cost will increase. What people try to do is when they want to increase the demand or they increase the supply of the product, they don't want to also increase the back end, the staff or the inventory list. It won't work. That will happen. What will happen then is the reduction in the quality.
Economics in this.
Pardon, yes, in the quality of what you bring out. Yes, it's only, So for you, there has to be a commercial rate increase in every other thing for you to increase the sort of supplies that you give out. I don't know if I've explained what.
I get that bit.
Yeah, so pretty much, yes.
Okay, so earlier on, I can remember you mentioned that you need to register with the CAC and the FIRS and all of that, you know, if you want to start the business. What other permits do you need to get in starting up a restaurant?
Okay, so you'd have so there are different permits. Time will fail me to, but there is food and safety, there's water. There are different permits you get. If you want to have a signage, you have to do the LASA, right? Is it LASMA? Something like that. They do the signage. And then there's a lot of permits, but I just mentioned a few.
So is it cumbersome? Is it easy to get those permits usually?
Anything worth doing is not as easy as it gets, but you go for it anyway. There's a lot of hassle with, especially in our Nigerian space, to be honest, the bureaucracy with the government and all of that. Some of them can get a bit...
Necessary evil, you mean?
Get a bit cumbersome in the process. That's how, we run in Nigeria, unfortunately. But, you have to get to it and do what you need to do. Again, it falls back to doing business in the Nigerian space. When I went for the business day event over the weekend, they asked somebody, an entrepreneur, how has it been with you? And guess what he said? You have to be mad to run a business. In Nigeria, that's what he said in his words, and I could relate because some days are like, my goodness, what's going on? So yes, you get those days, and then.
I mean, I think it's fantastic what you said earlier about you getting training, in Nigeria about how it is doing business in Nigeria.
You need to understand the local market.
Definitely, you can't, I mean, I train. That's why I've just put the background that I trained abroad, but it's different. They are having different issues from.
When you decide to expand to the American and UK markets, then you can use that hat. But right now, you need Ijebu kind of. Okay, but then Zolin is 2 years. Have you been able to break even?
Yes, we have. So in the first year, we're able to meet our cost and expense. Just like I said, the business they had awarded us, they asked for our account details and all of that, and we shared it with them for them to come to their conclusion. Oh. So yes, we're happy. It's a good place to be, but of course, it can be better at any time. You know, we aim for. So the idea is to always aim higher.
That means you're extremely prudent in your spending.
Yes, we try to work on a lot of things, financing and all of that. So we had a lot of structure from the get-go. And I think that really works and helps businesses. You can't, there's no shortcut to it. Like I cannot just dip my hand into the business purse. No. Right?
To buy a weave on.
No way.
So,
okay. You know, when we were talking earlier, we spoke about staff.
Yes.
Tell me about your experiences with getting staff for the business.
So yes, we're in a stressful environment.
She literally
had to pause to think about it.
So yes, for the level of staff that we work with, I don't know if it's, a lot of things is involved. You have to train them. And it's not a one-off training. You have to keep talking about it. Like I said, it's a continuous process of having. And then for us, we had our values, which is one of them was ownership. And then what I do is I hire for attitude and I train for skill.
Yes. Hire for attitude, train for skill.
Yes, because for me, you can have the best skills, but if you don't have the attitude, you will run the business down.
Oh my goodness.
You will run the business down. And I've seen it. I've experienced it. That's why I came to the resolve that I will hire. So we have select questions we ask to be able to find out the sort of attitude that the person has towards life.
Help those ones that are watching and want to hire for attitude and no skill. What are those select questions?
No, just from just practical questions. Maybe they've worked before. Tell me a particular scenario. How did you act or how did you handle it? Some of them will go, they'll tell you all sorts. I'm like, oh, yes, interesting. But I've taken notes of what I want to take notes of, and based on that, I'll make my decision, right? So.
Okay, so what challenges have you faced during your 2 years in business?
There's a lot of challenges in running a business in Nigeria, to be honest. I had challenges with the government because we, as a small business, I will pay FIRS, LIRS, ETIOSA, all on one business. And I'm trying, so for me, I'm like, we're trying to increase the quota. Well, a lot of people would have been roaming the streets, but we hired those people. That is what we have done as entrepreneurs and as small business. But they don't see that. But they want us to pay this and all of that, which is okay. But, a lot of stress involved with that. And, of course, the staff themselves. So I'm thankful that I have a couple of good ones, like I've said before. If you get a good staff, you do all you can to keep them. Because I can tell you for free, a lot of people, are not really vested in what they're doing. They just want to make money quick. I think it's the new trend or something, quick money. Yes, quick fix, or we must all hammer. Everybody, we must all make money. You understand? Nobody wants to try and grow anything in their mind, and it's a good thing. I think that's the sort of spirit that we all Nigerians have, which is different from the other parts of the world. Like somebody, abroad can say, I'm going to be a plumber for the rest of my life. But I think it's different in Nigeria. I'm a plumber, but one day.
Yes,
it's good to be
ambitious.
Thank you. It's good to be ambitious and all of that. I'm not saying that is wrong, but I'm just saying that in the time that you're a plumber, how well have you done the job? That is what we're working with. Yeah. So we're structured. So like us now, I have my employee manual, I have my appraisal, and my expectations of you as a staff. So after 3 months, we'll do it. So it's structure for me. It's a whole lot of things, right? So that's how
All right, that's great, and that's where we'll end for now, sadly. But thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
My absolute pleasure. Yes.
And that's all on Ladies Talking Business at this hour. For more educative and informative conversations of this nature, do follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. From my co-host, Morami, and I, it's goodbye and catch you next time. Bye.
seize it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Sometimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
As a young person growing up, I have had to sell akamu on my head. You know, yeah, on a tray. You go like in the morning, like very early in the morning before I go to school. Buy akamu, you know. That's why you should never underrate anyone, no matter the situation. You see them or you find them. When I go to UK and had to play at the Rio Festival Hall with Miriam Makeba, then, oh my God, I'm like, that's akamu selling girl. That was selling akamu. You know, so be inspired. Be inspired. Follow your dream. Follow your heart. Sit back and say, what is my passion in life? What can I do to better the world? And before you know it, you're already making an impact.
When I came to Lagos here after school, I remembered I entered what is called 911. 911 is a kind of lorry found then that they will load Gary, load in at the back. Then in between the driver and the load, we have what is called second class. And that is where I sat. And could you believe that by the time I got to Ido and I came down, my box, my shoe, because it took us 3 days from Bender, from Midwest to Lagos, all my loads were loaded. You see, when you pass through such, and when you become somebody, you look back and you look at what people are going through. It makes you to help others.
When I decided to be an apprentice photographer, we were living in Ebutimeta, and I would trek, you know, from Ebutimeta into Willoughby, from Willoughby into cross the Leventis into Ido Road, past Ido railway station, go across the Kata Bridge, and then into Agbogbon, into Broad Street. And I trekked that for 1 whole year. And then finally when I got to London, I had to be a cleaner, you know, every morning. Get out of the house by 4:30 to clean till 9 a.m. and then rush off to school. So I've done quite a lot of things like that, and I still continue to do that. And so for me, it is part of one's development. And I didn't see that I was suffering. Occasionally, you know, you want to stop. You have cried many times. I've failed many times, but I've just got up. I get up again. A lot of people, I enjoy goodwill of some people who pull me up again and help me on my feet, and then I go on.
I finished that film and I became very famous. As young as I was, I didn't even know what it was. Everybody would just be calling me over. I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? When the film was all over the place, so I couldn't go to the market. And I used to go to the market a lot, you know, to go and buy all these second-hand, all the second-hand outfits. And then there was one day I went to the market with a couple of my friends, and I just realized that I just couldn't buy these things anymore because they would tease me. The market, the people in the market, the traders will always tease me and said, so you see, they come buy Bendam Boutique, you know. So that made me realize that, oh, so if I become a star, there are a lot of things I won't be able to do, or what? So I went back and I said to myself, is this how I'm going to live my life? I won't be who I want to be. I won't be myself. And I said, no, I won't let that catch up with me. Just be who you are, no matter your craft, no matter how high you think you've become. Still be that same person that the girl next door, still the girl or the boy next door that people can always relate to.
That morning, you shoot every person that we know can shoot. We don't let people die there.
You could have killed us for a long period of time.
Is that time why I carry gonorrhea? I first go hospital first, but it didn't no go. Now I come make that mama.
He just pulled it, he pointed and shot.
What is the soul of a man? They suffer too much. They suffer too much.
Issues around the Nigerian police. We have to tackle it holistically.
Thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Benny Ark. In the news, the Federal Ministry of Health has confirmed the first case of the coronavirus disease, COVID-19, in Nigeria. Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Eaniwe, confirmed the case in a statement issued in the early hours of today, February 28, 2020. According to the statement, the case involves an Italian citizen who works in Nigeria and just returned from Milan, Italy on 25th of February 2020. It was confirmed to be positive by the Virology Laboratory of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, part of the laboratory network of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC. The ministry, however, noted that the patient is clinically stable with no serious symptoms and is being managed at the Infectious Disease Hospital in Yaba, Lagos. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health in Lagos State has confirmed its first case of the novel coronavirus disease COVID-19, incidentally the first in Nigeria and in West Africa since the outbreak in China in January 2020. This was contained in a statement released Friday morning by the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi. It is the second confirmed case in Africa, following one recently recorded in Algeria in North Africa. The novel virus is fast spreading, having been reported in over 20 countries across Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and lately in Africa. Like the case confirmed in Algeria, the victim, an Italian traveler, arrived in Nigeria on Tuesday from Milan on a business trip. The state government said it is working with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and other preparedness group to ensure the case is effectively managed out of circulation. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, the NCDC, has deployed its rapid response teams to support the Lagos State government as Nigeria records its case of coronavirus COVID-19. Dr. Chikwe Iekweazu, Director General of the NCDC, confirmed the development in Abuja. The NCDC, he said, has also escalated the multi-sectoral coronavirus preparedness group to an emergency operations center, EOC, at level 11 to lead response activities. Nigeria has just announced its first case of coronavirus, the third confirmed case in Africa. The patient, an Italian national, returned to Nigeria from Italy and has been placed in isolation. Iekweazu said the health facilities must remain on high alert. Joining us in the studio to discuss this further is Dr. Nesochi Okeke Ibokwe. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Now, it seems like we finally have nightmare on our streets. How do we begin to react to this development?
So the recent development, we first have to understand what the virus is that we are dealing with.
Okay.
So when we talk about coronaviruses in general,
yes,
these are a family of viruses that can actually cause problems in both humans and animals as well.
Okay.
In regards to humans, there are a total of about 7 coronaviruses that actually cause illness in humans. This new coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, is the 7th one known to cause any form of illness in the human population.
Yeah.
4 of them just caused things like just the common cold. We have 2 other ones that have caused severe illness in the past that have actually led to death in the population. If you're familiar with the SARS outbreak and the MERS outbreak that occurred back in 2002 and 2012, those were ones that had the potential to be actually lethal. then in comes this new coronavirus, this novel coronavirus. In December 2019 in Wuhan, China, they started noticing that there was this trend of suspicious pneumonia of some of the population there.
Okay.
So the leading theory pretty much is that there was some form of zoonotic infection, meaning that there was transfer from infection of the virus from some animal source to humans, and then thereafter, that's how this started to spread throughout the human population.
Okay.
So the epicenter of it really began in Wuhan, China, but now we're seeing it globally around the world, affecting many nations and now coming into sub-Saharan Africa.
Right. Now, there's an imported case in tropical country, and how does this change our perception of the virus, of the viability in hot climates, given also the positive test in Brazil?
So just because the test came out positive in these tropical climates, it's pretty much showing us that we don't know how this virus is really going to behave. It's still too soon and too early to know. But is there some form of protective effect based on climate? It's hard to say at this point, but unlikely considering that we are now seeing it in various areas in different climates around different areas of the world.
Now we have a confirmed case in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes.
How does this now begin to change the game in terms of public health measures and responses?
At this point, now that we do have a definitive confirmed case, we know that the Nigerian CDC, they've been working hard since the beginning of the outbreak in China to figure out what they would do if there is an outbreak or even a confirmed case in Nigeria. So now we're finally at that point. What are we going to do? The question is, are we actually really prepared? Are those prepared, those measures that they took to try to get us to a point that we can handle this, are we ready to implement some of those strategies that were put in place? So, good things that they had placed in Nigeria is that first and foremost, we do have the capability of testing for corona in various laboratory settings here in Nigeria.
Okay.
Staff and medical staff and personnel are also being trained on how to actually handle dealing with a patient that has coronavirus. In various ports of entry throughout Nigeria, there are screenings that are being done to see if we can actually try to detect somebody that might actually be high risk for the coronavirus. But in regards to the general population, what we need to do for ourselves is educate ourselves and really understand what we know to date about the virus to kind of protect us from being exposed to it. Because right now, there is no cure for this virus and there's no vaccination right now that's available either.
Okay, help us put this in better perspective. Can you put the risks with the coronavirus in perspective compared to the risks with infections that are endemic to Nigeria, like the Lassa fever?
So diseases like Lassa fever endemic to Nigeria, what we know in the past 2 months or so, there have been almost over 100 deaths due to Lassa fever.
The outbreak of the Lassa fever.
Exactly. But right now with the coronavirus, it's too soon to tell how this is going to behave in the population here in Nigeria. But the things that we need to know are that prevention is really key to stave off outbreaks of either diseases. Okay. And the key thing that we need to know is how we deal with just our hygiene measures. So hygiene is key in order to kind of stave off any issues with either diseases.
Okay, either diseases, because I was just going to come to that. I mean, the measures we should begin to take to prevent the infection of this virus, and even all Nigerians should start wearing the face mask.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So the face masks, they're good for those who actually are infectious, who actually are suffering from a respiratory illness so that they are not able to infect others.
Okay.
So the mode we know right now of transmission for the virus is via respiratory droplets. So when you're sneezing or coughing, those respiratory droplets that come out from the mouth or the nose, those droplets can actually infect others.
That makes it airborne.
Around us. So it means if you're in contact with these respiratory droplets, you yourself can be infected. If somebody sneezes or coughs and those droplets get on like the surface on the table, then if you touch that, potentially you can infect yourself with those droplets by touching various areas of the face, the mouth, the eyes. So it's really key that we, really fortify our hand hygiene practices and make sure we're washing our hands frequently and doing things to protect ourselves.
And now we have a video from the Lagos State government. Let's take a look.
The movement of this, the patient remains in strict isolation at our containment facility in Yaba and is doing well under supportive therapy. As of now, we've started to trace the movement of this traveler from the airport through Lagos to Ogun State. And we're busy identifying any possible person that may have come in contact with him so that we can start our isolation and containment exercise to ensure that we break the cycle of transmission.
Triggered all our various levels of biosecurity and containment. Like he did mention, we're up till early hours of this morning contacting both the federal authority, including Mr. President, and everybody that needs to be aware, including the facility that this patient had contact with, the chairman of the company and everybody in the company. They've been very supportive. They had proactively also curtailed their own staff. So like the commissioner said, we had gone out. People are out there now trying to track every of suspected interaction that this patient might have had contact with, and we're ready. Our facility has been fortified to continue, if need be, of any form of tests and containment, if need be.
How prepared, how well prepared we say Lagos State government is in curtailing this virus? As you can see from the video clip of what was said, how prepared is the Lagos State government?
Well, we need to still see if they're able to implement some of the strategies that the Corona preparedness team have been trying to kind of strengthen and fortify before we had our first confirmed case.
Yes.
But the key things that we need to know, do we have enough medical personnel on ground to handle a potential outbreak? Do we have enough respirator masks for the personnel? Do we have some of those things that are actually going to be needed when coming face to face with a patient that has the coronavirus? Are we able to actually detect those patients who might actually have a suspected case of corona? So the thing that we need to really do and figure out if the regulatory bodies are able to have good surveillance of suspected cases and confirm them within a good and fast amount of time.
All right, and before I let you go this afternoon, to the average viewer right now, to the Nigerian out there who is now, having a little bit of panic about this situation, what is paramount for them to do hygiene-wise? As they wake up every day, go into the day, what is paramount to do hygiene-wise?
There shouldn't be panic at this point, but this is a moment and an opportunity for everyone to implement strong hygiene practices. Make sure that you wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If you don't have soap and water available, a good hand sanitizer.
Not less than 20 seconds.
Yes, not less than 20 seconds. That's the amount of time that you really need to get all those microbes off of the hands and the fingers. Also, if you don't have that available, the soap and water, use a hand sanitizer, an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol in that. Another thing, if you are symptomatic, meaning that you're showing symptoms of coughing and sneezing, please cover your cough. Do not cough in people's faces, and make sure you cough into a tissue, dispose of it well and appropriately. And I also tell people, don't be afraid to let others who are not taking those correct preventive measures and putting people at risk. Don't be afraid to speak up. If you see somebody coughing up a storm and putting the population at risk, just let them know, please. Just kindly cover up your cough. And honestly, if you're sick, stay home. Don't go to school. Don't go to work. It's not worth risking infecting the rest of the population.
Dr. Nasochi Okeke-Gbokwe, thank you very much for joining us on News on the Hour and for your contribution.
Thank you for having me.
The news will continue after the short break. We'll be back in a moment to stay with us.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Cross Trending. I am Vicky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
And across the African continent, the office of South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa said in a statement on Thursday that the government has ordered the repatriation of nearly 200 citizens from the central Chinese city of Wuhan, epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. Radical quarantining measures have helped slow the rate of transmission in China of the virus, which can cause pneumonia, but it is picking up pace outside China. The statement said that 132 of the 199 South Africans currently in Wuhan under lockdown conditions had requested to come home. Up next is our foreign news. Lithuania reported its first coronavirus infection on Friday in a woman who returned this week from a visit to Italy's northern city of Verona, the government said, as the disease spread rapidly worldwide. Hopes that the virus will be contained to China vanished, with countries beginning to stockpile medical equipment and investors taking flight in expectation of a global recession. In a statement, the Lithuanian government said the woman had been isolated in hospital in the northern town of Šiauliai following her return on Monday. She has been under observation since and is showing only slight symptoms with no elevated temperature at the moment, it added. Coming up next is our business news with Irene Ubani.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of guns,
whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
I actually moved back to Nigeria to open a bakery. This was my goal, and everything I did up till this point was in preparation for this. First of all, life was great because I moved in 2015 right before the recession, right? It was awesome. I was like, wow, there's so much money out here, man. The cost of overheads, power generation, water, you have to be your own local government. And there are no tax breaks. Many places where, where they realize the small business environment is difficult would offer some kind of tax breaks and incentives. We don't do that out here. We want you to come back. We want you to, to start businesses here, but we're not going to do anything to help you. All my experiences in the past have led me ultimately to where I am now.
What is happening right now took over 300 years to manifest, and it's not going to take overnight to get it sorted out. People don't really understand the consequences of adaptation, of burning waste, or cutting down trees. They don't really understand it. They don't believe, oh, you're attacking the environment. They don't know that ripple effect is coming.
Yeah.
It's affecting security, affecting agriculture, everything in the country.
I don't think in school they teach climate change as a course. So a lot of kids are graduating and they don't even know.
If you go to Niger Delta today, apart from the suit that is covered, you might not be getting the effects of climate change as you get it in Lagos. That is not flaring gas. Whatever you do in Nigeria might not be felt in Nigeria. Yeah. So we have to think as our brother's keeper. What you are doing in Nigeria might be felt in Indonesia. If we all claim to be climate change enthusiasts, how much have we tried to cut down our carbon emissions?
And in business, Nigeria's economy, based on National Bureau of Statistics report released earlier in the week, showed a year-on-year increase in GDP figures of 2.55% in real terms in the fourth quarter of 2019, from the 2.28% in the previous quarter. Now, the non-oil sector contributed 92.68%, while the oil sector contributed 7.32%. The service sector contributed the highest at 53.64%, agriculture contributed 26.09%, while industries contributed 20.27%. Now, for more on the Nigerian economy, we are joined by Dr. Joshua Bamfo. He is the partner and head of transfer pricing at Anderson Tax. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, certainly. Now, when you take a look at the figures at the point it was released, what was your thought on it?
I mean, I think my thoughts were mixed. In the short term, you look at the fact that we didn't start the year too great. Quarter one was around 2.1. Quarter two, actually, we grew at a lower rate, 1.94. So there was some skepticism. But quarter three went to 2.28. Quarter four went to 2.55. So you look at the trend, it's an upward trajectory. So which is some good news. So there's some form of excitement. And that's the reason why we saw a lot of headlines. But what matters most is to look at what are the drivers of that growth. So as you rightly said, you saw the service sector contributing around 53%.
Yes.
The biggest growth came from the finance and insurance subsector, where because of CBN directive that banks should actually loan more, their loan to loan to deposit ratio of 60 and later on move to 65%. That means banks were forced to actually play their role as financial intermediaries and make loans out to both individuals and businesses. That increases their returns, obviously. So that led to a growth rate of around 20% for quarter four, if you look at that. The next is actually the information and communication sector. That has consistently performed well since the recession. They were averaging around 10%, so that also helped. But what matters most is that if you look at the big three, what I call the big three, agriculture, trade, and manufacturing, that has traditionally been the backbone of our growth and creation of employment. They've not been doing that well. So agriculture grew around 2.3%. Trade actually has contracted for the past 3 quarters. And if you look at manufacturing, where you can actually employ people with diverse skills, manufacturing is also struggling, So that is an area of concern. So if you look at just the trend, it's a good thing. We are back on an upward trend, 2.3, 2.55, and we can only hope that it continues to grow. But if you look at the details, and the devil is in the details, then there are some concerns. Now, finally, some of the things that people got excited about was that if you compare the annual growth rate, because this is Q4, the annual growth rate for 2019, which ended up 2.27, and compare that to IMF's revised projection, which was revised from 2.3 to 2.1, as well as that of World Bank that was revised down to 2.0, then it looks like we surpassed that revised rates. But you then need to also compare where we thought we would be by now when we had a recession. Remember, we came up with a medium-term plan, which is the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan.
ERGP.
Exactly. We're expecting that around this time in the 5-year plan, we should be around 4%.
4%, exactly.
So if we are down now making 2.27 as a year, then we really are falling short and below.
Concern.
Exactly. So
now,
it's a mixed result.
Yeah, concerning, you've spoken well, but then concerning the new coronavirus situation, just yesterday, the 27th, the first coronavirus case was, made mention of here in Nigeria. Now, we know that before now, the World Bank had come up with its projected growth rate for Nigeria. The Nigerian government had also come up with its projections. The African Development Bank had done the same. However, these were in isolation of a potential outbreak of coronavirus in Nigeria. So what are the possibilities of this affecting our economic growth?
Exactly. I mean, initially, our concern started from China being a big trading partner, right? We are highly dependent on the export of crude. Remember, crude oil actually contributes around 85% of forex. So with China actually and the economy stagnating, we knew that there were going to be problems in terms of export of crude and its impact on our ability to maintain the exchange rate. So already we have that challenge, and people are already wondering whether the exchange rate can be maintained, because if you don't have a lot of supply of forex into the market, then those shortages can take us back to 2016 and the kind of rationing that we faced. Now, in addition to that, now that we have a live case in Nigeria, clearly, we've talked to medical folks. We shouldn't panic. We need to take some kind of measure so that it doesn't spread. So it will depend on how we are able to manage it. If we don't manage it well and there's a lot of panic, business activities are going to shut down. Schools are going to close up. We've seen what is going on in South Korea, Hong Kong, and the others. But if you're able to contain it, then I don't see any reason why we will not be able to manage it and then move forward and try to meet up with those projections, as long as we do the right things from economic policy implementation point of view.
Would you suggest that this is a good time to shut down businesses?
I think it's too early. I mean, I think really what we should be telling people is people not to panic, right? Because sometimes really the fear can actually let an economy actually start going on the downside rather than the actual issue.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Because of time, this is all we can have now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And that's all on Business News at this hour. I am Irene Ubani.
First point of accountability is asking questions.
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Hi everyone, welcome to Plus Training.
Country. Because if you be British citizen, no be say you go enter Nigeria, come cause kasala.